It was stationary, this thing, and it was bright silver in colour, and it had a dome. It was tilted to sort of, I could see the occupants in it.
You saw people in it?
I saw people in it. There were 2 people in there. These people were beautiful people. That's the only way I can describe them.
All right, welcome back to the podcast, and this is an exciting one. The first 2 were just with the 3 of us, but we've added an additional participant. Excited to have Kristen Cowan in here today. But let's go ahead and do introductions before we get there. So let's start at the top. Anthony Haynes.
Tone here. Nice to see everybody. Glad to be back.
And the guy to the left.
Hey, it's Crooks. I'm glad to be here. We took a week off due to the holidays, but happy to be back.
Absolutely. And I am Dundas, aka the Dundas. I don't know, you could go all kinds of different routes here. But everybody knows what time it is. Crooks.
Let's talk UFOs.
All right. And officially joining us is Kristen Cowan. A brief introduction. But you were involved with Citizens for Disclosure and have been an active participant in the organization for a while. Can you tell us how you got involved and some of the roles that you've been involved in within the organization?
Sure. So it's kind of a long story, but I'll try to keep it short. So I found out about the hearings, the UFO hearings. I kind of fell down the rabbit hole of, trying to find out everything I could about UFOs and what was happening. And then I came to a point where I just had enough of that. Like, I read all the books that I could at that point, and I went, okay, I have to do something now. Like, what do I do? And I heard a podcast talk about Citizens for Disclosure, and I looked them up, and I just, signed up to be a volunteer. And they got back with me and said, we're pulling all the volunteers together. And then I kind of became the state lead, and I did that for about a year. And I'm still active in wanting to help them out with their mission of encouraging the government to disclose what they know about the reverse engineering programs that the government supposedly have.
Kristen, thanks for coming. Love
Thanks for having me.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind poster in the background. Love it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So I know that it really helped me when I received like a text and email saying now's the time to get a hold of all these Congress people. And I did that, but I wouldn't have done it without your reminder. So what were folks pushing for at the time, and then what did we get, and what's left on the table?
Those are good questions. So they are. I was back in August. I think it was August, September. Yeah, before the most recent hearing, there was a really big push to meet with, I think, like 100 different congressional members and talk about the importance of first just kind of educating the Congress people on UFOs and what's known and what's not, and then asking them to support the UAPDA, which is the UAP Disclosure Act. They've tried, I think, is it like 2 times or 3 times now to get that passed, and we're still hoping that can happen. That's kind of the main ask of CFD. at least for now. I think there's going to be more once that happens. But it's kind of education and then the UAPDA.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kristen. Crooks, do you want to go next, buddy?
You mentioned the CFD. That's the Citizens for Disclosure movement.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
and I took a peek at the website. It said there's about 1,200 volunteers. Are those the kind of community leaders like yourself?
I think that's the total, and it's probably more now. I don't
Okay.
know, but I think that's the sum total of the volunteers. I can't remember, and I'm sure it's more now because they're kind of towards the end of my like super involvement. There were tons of like state leads jumping on board, so I think states are having like a couple now, couple of state leads, which is cool.
Nice. The New Paradigm Institute, I think it touts itself as a driving force in the movement for truth, transparency, and disclosure of UAPs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know about Daniel Sheehan, you gotta research and see some videos that he's interviews of him, because he's amazing. He's I think you talked about him last time, Tone. He was involved in Iran-Contra and a lot of important legal cases. He's done the litigation for a bunch of different cases, really important ones, and he's working on, I don't know exactly what, but possible litigation for this if it comes down to that. So
he's a constitutional lawyer by trade, right? So this is a guy that knows his stuff. So
yeah.
Sounds like he's the right person to be rooted in this organization from a law standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah.
He was at UFO Fest, and he was amazing. He could riff for a long time, talk about so many different things. The one thing that I was fascinated by was his push. I think it was similar to like apartheid in South Africa when they pushed amnesty, and I think both sides came to the realization that that really had to happen in order for just the truth to come out.
Yeah.
How do you feel personally about amnesty? Let's say, with the reverse engineering programs, there could be some, illegalities that have taken place. Some people say even murder. What's your opinion on, like, do we need to forgive these folks to move forward? I know Dan Sheehan was a proponent to that approach.
I've been back and forth on it. It's hard for me to land on one or the other, but I think if it's the only way that it really can happen, I think that it needs to happen that way. But it's also difficult to imagine just a blanket. I mean, I'm wondering if like case by case basis is possible, I mean, people getting away with murder doesn't seem right. So I think it's tricky.
Yeah. Well, let's just pretend somebody stumbles onto this podcast, not familiar with the lingo. What is reverse engineering for people that might not have familiarity of what that means in relation to what we're talking about here tonight?
So finding a craft, an alien craft, an ET craft, one that's shot down or fallen, the government supposedly comes in and takes that craft back to a base, and scientists work on like taking it apart, figuring out how it works, trying to figure out the propulsion on it, or, I'm not a scientist, so just whatever they can figure out to try to make it run and know how it works. That's the reverse engineering. That's what that means.
And there are some people who have been big in those proponents, right, Tone? Who are some of the people that have been involved in the reverse engineering in the past?
I'm
thinking, scientist types.
Bob Lazar is one.
Yes, that was one that came to mind, right? So he was Area 51. Was that correct?
Yeah. And S4, which is a part of Area 51.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bob Lazar. That's probably the one that you got introduced to, Pat, since you listened to Joe Rogan. I admit that when I watched The Age of Disclosure, my buddy Andy and I, we just yacked most of the time. So I need to rewatch it. But I know, oh gosh, it's like the names were there and then they're escaping.
That was the main guy I thought of.
Eric
though.
Davis. Eric Davis. He's recently, speaking of amnesty, he's like, if you can guarantee that I will be protected, I will tell you everything. So no, Eric Davis has been heavily involved. Hal Putoff, and the guy that said he'd seen Beans and Kraft. Do you remember his name, Kristen? He has a beard.
Oh yeah, Jay Stratton.
Jay Stratton. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think those are the major players there, Pat.
Excellent. Yeah, this is interesting to me because I like just asking general questions coming from a perspective of maybe not knowing as much as my counterparts here today. So, what are some of the other things that you've been involved in terms of organizationally? Like, what are some of the initiatives or some things that you've worked on as a whole in your time of being a lead for the state?
There were quite a few steps that they were helping us take. All of us were kind of new to the state lead role, and it's kind of a lot to do that and to do like your full-time
I was waiting
job.
for my husband to come home from work and my two sons.
But so the major initiatives, really, it was the push to start talking to the Congress people, and have the volunteers in the state be contacting them. There was let me try to remember what it was called. There was a point of time where I was asking the volunteers to, sorry, there's a helicopter and it's distracting me, but asking volunteers to call two different Congress people every day or almost every day. And it was strategic people that are on certain cabinets that are important to, that have a sway in disclosure.
Wow. So a really strong grassroots effort.
Really strong, yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive. I know Crooks you've shown a lot of interest in the idea of grassroots efforts. What about that is interesting to you from a perspective of someone that's jumping into this new world of podcasting?
Well, Tone, our friend here, Tone, our co-host, he's, I think, pretty much involved in some grassroots areas down in the Palouse. Is he affiliated with a group down there?
Yeah, if you could talk about that, because you have a group that meets once a month, right, Tone?
It hasn't been consistent, but it's been sometimes more, sometimes less. But before I jump into that, I know Crooks is somebody who's, I think, had more of a long-term interest in, to Art Bell, checking out, documentaries over time. And mine was more like Kristen, more recent, where it's like I'd always been interested, but didn't think it was a real thing. And then when 2017 article came out, and then especially when David Grush came forward, that was kind of the same time Kristen and I were like, whoa, what's going on? But as far as grassroots, just around here in the Palouse, just trying to, because Kristen would facilitate meetings over Zoom or Google Meet calls, and those were great. But I feel more of a need to be able to meet face to face with people. So Palouse UAP discussion group, and we were trying to get age of disclosure shown, but the licensing was an issue. we're going to then pivot a little bit and see if we can get James Fox's most recent film, Moment of Contact, New Revelations of Alien Contact or something like that. And so I think just getting people, it takes work, but it's really just like, this means so much to me for us to come together. I don't really have anybody to talk to this about, so it's like weekly therapy for me. And so I really appreciate it. And I know there was one other thing I wanted to say, like at Extraterrestrial University, Kristen was like, "Oh, it's cool you call them lessons," but at least the way I feel, I'm not the professor, and I'm pretty sure Dundas and Crooks, you probably feel the same way. But we feel like we're bringing people in. Our cups are empty, but going through, like, especially the last episode, it was so fun to break down something and experience it. And I feel like that's learning, when you have to like dig a little bit deeper. And I feel like that analysis of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that I'll have that for the rest of my life. And so, yeah, I think this is all sort of grassroots type stuff, but yeah.
I have there's a local group in Olympia, Washington, that was started. It's almost been a year, not quite a year, but we meet. It's called Oly UFOs. So OLY UFOs. If anybody is in the South Sound and wants to come to it, just look us up. We're on Facebook and on Meetup as well.
And then, do you have a regular meeting spot?
Yeah, at the Olympia Center, which is like the community center.
That's awesome. Home of the
Wow.
Capitol.
How many people are in attendance usually?
Like 12 to 15. So it's pretty good.
That's a really good number.
Yeah, it's fun. So if you're in the area, come join us. It's the second Saturday of every month, 2 to 4.
Okay, yeah, we'll have to stay in touch and see if we can connect the groups somehow for something. If you have an event, we could road trip it over. I did reach out to Jesse Michaels and Chris Ramsey, Pat and Crooks. Those are two that you should subscribe to. Like run to their channel and subscribe. American Alchemy is Jesse Michaels, and Area 52 is Chris Ramsey. But they're doing a tour, and if it goes well, they're starting in Austin and Montreal, and if it goes well, they're going to try to travel around the country. But those two, especially the way they approach it, they're so kind, and they never are like, I have the answer. They're like, there's a lot of evidence, and I'm fascinated. And so I just appreciate their approach.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I think it helps to be curious-minded in pursuit of these types of endeavors. So yeah, this has been a lot of fun. Kristen, we appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight. Thanks. And give us some more insights.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's awesome. Kristen, so I was wondering, could you switch gears from guest to guest host?
Sure.
All right. So Pat, Mr. Dundas. All right. Okay. So shifting gears here, we're going to take a look at an account from Jessie Roestenberg. And if we were to look at like the UAP topic as like maybe a crime that needs to be solved or some sort of mystery that needs to be solved, you got hacks all over a bulletin board. And I don't think we're going to sit here and be like, oh, well, here is the main evidence right here with Jessie Roestenberg. You have so many other different, pieces of evidence, whether it's video or radar or military accounts. But I do feel like just her genuine testimony, I think it's just fascinating.
Flying saucers, spots in the sky, lights in the sky, strange things. But the strangest of all was seen one day over this cottage. Mr. and Mrs. Roestenberg were living there quietly out in the country. And, well, you just tell me what you saw.
Well, it was one ordinary day. I was waiting for my husband to come home from work, and my two sons went to Cypher to school, and I was getting changed, and I heard this terrific noise. It was just like a giant cauldron of water being poured onto a fire, a shh sort of noise, you know. And my first reaction was, oh, the children. I thought maybe a plane was crashing or something like that. And I slipped my jumper on and went outside to find my two sons lying flat on the ground in the garden in front of the house, shouting, "Mummy, Mummy, there's a flying saucer." Well, naturally, I just said, "Come on, don't be stupid. Come in the house." But felt sort of a strange sensation. Wended my way up the side of the house to where we had a pump, where we used to get all our water from, and automatically looked up to see this, all I can describe, this huge Mexican hat. It was stationary, this thing, and it was bright silver in colour, and it had a dome. It was tilted to sort of, I could see the occupants in it.
You saw people in it?
I saw people in it. There were 2 people in there. These people were beautiful people. That's the only way I can describe them. They had long golden hair, like a page boy bob, just like the old kings. You used to see photographs of the old kings. And the colour of their hair was golden. Now, I was really...
What were they dressed in?
They had a sort of a polo neck jumper affair, like a ski top suit, in pale blue. Now, these people weren't sat behind, one behind the other. They were sat together, but this, whatever it was tilted so that I could see them and they could see me.
Were you looking at them through windows, through portholes, or what?
No, not portholes. It was just sort of like a cockpit, I suppose, that had this perspex or glass or whatever it was. They could see me anyway, and I could see them. And they had beautiful faces. I shall never forget their faces as long as I live. Their foreheads seemed to be a bit larger than, you know, the bottom of their faces as normal people you would expect to see. But maybe this was just whatever they had round their heads, which was like a transparent fishbowl. And they just looked, and I was absolutely paralytic with fear. I couldn't move, although my mind was ticking over. And they looked so sympathetic that I was just mesmerized for what seemed to be, ages, but it could have only been seconds. And I turned to sort of look down at the boys, was unaware that they were with me because I was so absorbed. And the next thing, I looked up and it was gone.
How low had it been?
It had been the height, I couldn't tell you. But the house that you've seen, it was just on top of the roof. It was hovering on top of the roof.
How big was it compared with the size of the house?
It swallowed the whole circumference of the roof. I couldn't see, the roof was completely blotted out. The chimneys I couldn't see. All I could see was this massive object that I described as like a Mexican hat without the bubbles.
And then it flew away sideways or upwards?
No, I didn't see. I just looked up and it had gone. But I assume it went straight up, because for a short while after in the sky I looked around and I said to my 2 boys, "Where, can you see anything? Can you see anything?" And they said, "There it is, Mum," and they pointed up, and I watched it. It was just like a little cotton reel in the sky, and it circled us 3 times. It went round 3 times, and then it just shut off, and that was it. When I started to analyse myself afterwards, I feared that I might have had an hallucination, but then I knew I hadn't had, because my sons were so sure about what they'd seen and what I'd seen. And it went through my mind that it was a secret weapon from Russia, and then I thought, well, it can't be that, because if they had something like that, they wouldn't need to fear anybody or anything.
Were you scared by it? Did you run indoors?
Oh, I was petrified. I couldn't move. I couldn't move a muscle. I was paralyzed with fear. But now I wouldn't be. Because now, when I look back, you know, I think, what an amazing thing to have happened, and for me to have seen it.
And when your husband came home, where were you?
Well, when my husband came home from the office, I was locked in the house with my children, under a big kitchen table that we were using.
Under the table?
Under the table, yes. It's funny now when I look back, you know, it sounds absolutely ridiculous, but this is the truth. This happened. And that's it. We were ridiculed. It was very embarrassing at the time, and people, they possibly thought, oh, she's a nutter. But you know, who cares? This is something that happened to me, and I'm a practically minded person, and that's it.
First thing that pops in my head is she comes across as very genuine.
Yeah.
I don't know if that what your guys' thoughts of the interaction are, but that was like, man, this is a lady that experienced something, and she doesn't seem to be wavering from her recollection of the event.
Mhm. I thought it was interesting that she talked about, she described them as people. And I mean, I guess if they looked human, that would be kind of the natural thing to do. But just interesting that either that was what was going on, or it was just too difficult to call them anything else. Either back in that day, that was just not done to talk about, to say like another worldly being or something. But it was interesting that she saw people in the ship.
Yeah, because Crooks, what is your take on that?
Well, she mentioned the ridicule and, you know, the doubt that people express when somebody tells a story like that. And that seems pretty common amongst, you know, just about everybody that has a story like this to tell. But she wasn't going to, you know, suppress, you know, telling her story, you know, due to that ridicule. And but yeah, so she seemed pretty honest about it, and she had nothing to hide. She was just wanted to get it out there.
And Tone, is this something that's been out in the public for a while, right? Does this happen like in the 70s?
I don't know when that was shot. I know her encounter took place in the 50s.
Oh, okay.
The reason I think that some folks are like, you know, she probably didn't have a lot of time to do a bunch of research on what was supposed to be talked about if you were going to make up a story like that. And I guess, Kristen, I was wondering, with your training as is it mental health therapist?
Yeah.
Is there anything that we might not have noticed? Do you feel she was showcasing like truth-telling traits, or were there times maybe where you thought she wasn't telling the truth? What's your analysis on that?
I didn't pick up on anything like that would say she didn't seem truthful. It seemed really genuine to me. And, you know, to admit that she was under the table when her husband came home, I thought that was an interesting and, like, you know, very genuine thing to do. So, yeah.
Man, what's this guy's name?
This is Molly, my cat.
Oh, okay. Awesome. You were saying earlier that you were going to try to keep your cat from coming on camera, and I encourage it, actually. I was like, I want to see this cat up in person, because I have a handful of them at my house, so I'm always interested.
There she is.
Oh, she's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Do you have other cats, or is this your lone cat?
No, this is my only cat.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
We have to have non-human guests on the show too.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, at some point, I don't know. I have like a small petting zoo in my house. So, between the rabbit, the fish, the turtle, the cats, the dogs.
Wow.
Yeah,
Sounds like a fun time.
it is most of the time.
Yeah.
But you probably couldn't hear it. But the one cat, I have the door shut, and we're in a spare bedroom, and he's been meowing and pawing at the door for me to let him in. I didn't let him in, but next time.
Yeah.
And well, we're getting off track here. So is there any
That's
other
my favorite part about you, Pat.
That's the thing. I always joke with people. I'm like, if you stick with me long enough, if we can go around the sun enough, we'll get back to where we started.
But Pat, I want to build off your strength here. Let's say that, you know, this happened to you in Post Falls. Pretty similar situation. What would be your first move after coming out of that, out from underneath the kitchen table? Like, well, what are you going to do? Who are you going to talk to? What are you going to say?
I'm probably going to want to go survey my surroundings. and see what is going on out there, and try to assess. Because at that point, I think, you're in this fight or flight style where you're like in a threat assessment mode. Your adrenaline is pumping and you're trying to realize, did this really happen to me, or is this just maybe not being, I don't know, me being tethered to reality, or maybe the opposite. So from my perspective, but I think I'd be really cautious of who I would want to tell initially. I'd want to be able to think about this a little bit before going and telling people. But if you think about it, 1954 is when her initial encounter was. A lot has changed in this 50 plus years since then, right? So I feel like there's a higher level of acceptance of people willing to talk about this stuff and not just be countered as a kook or somebody that's crazy or whatever that may be. So I feel like if we're in the modern time, I got a better shot at people being willing to listen to me versus, the stuff that was only dreamed up in comic books and probably, the beginnings of sci-fi films. That's a long time ago. So that's how I guess I would approach it. But man, I can tell myself all these different things, but man, until you've experienced it, I don't know.
Yeah, until you're put into that situation. Yeah. Crooks,
Yeah.
what about the non-human intelligence itself, the alien, extraterrestrial, whatever it is? So it has characteristics of a human being. It's got a fishbowl on its head. So if it is some sort of, maybe a Nordic, because I know that, Dan Sheehan names the specific species that he's aware of that the military has come in contact, and I believe Nordics are one of them. Very human-like. They have a bowl around their head, though. Could the bowl possibly be changing the way they look to make her feel more comfortable? How are you trying to piece this together, Crooks, as far as like what was in that craft?
Yeah, that's interesting that she described a fishbowl around their heads. 1954, this is before we were sending people into space. She didn't know what a space helmet was. Maybe pilots, high altitude pilots possibly might have some kind of apparatus to help them breathe at high elevation, but I don't know if she would know what that was. So that her comment with that fishbowl around their head seemed pretty genuine, that she saw something, but she didn't know how to describe it other than that. So that was pretty interesting, I thought.
Yeah. The earliest version of reverse engineering.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe that's too soon, too early, but the thing that jumped out to me was the sombrero, the silver sombrero. And that's fascinating too. I don't know. There was a lot of interesting things, that I'm sure that have probably been talked about in additional eyewitness interviews and encounters, after 1954 and beyond. So yeah, that's pretty interesting stuff, Tom, when you're talking about somebody that can name the different travelers or species.
Yeah, he's pretty confident about it. I personally would want to see more evidence, and I think it's just a matter of making it unclassified, as far as I know. Yeah. Kristen, I was wondering what you thought about, because she said that they looked sympathetic, and I did see another interview years later where she said they looked compassionate. What? It just boggles my mind that why would they be looking at us with sympathy or compassion? I guess I would feel more comfortable with the compassion part, but the sympathy part is like, well, why would they be sympathetic? Are we in some sort of farm here on Earth or something?
I was wondering if it was because she was so frightened that wasn't their intention, possibly, and that they were just sorry for scaring her. I don't know. That was kind of how I interpreted it, but it could be something else.
No, that's a good point. I didn't think of that. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. The same way we might react to, an animal we scared, we'd feel bad for it, even though we know we didn't have ill intent.
Yeah, and I also wonder if any of that was like her interpretation. Because, I mean, there is a way to kind of show that you can show sympathy without saying anything, but also, like, maybe it was what she was feeling. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but I don't know.
Really opens it up to interpretation. That's why I feel like these types of discussions are interesting, because we have 4 different takes on maybe the information that was presented. So I think that's pretty cool to hear everybody's perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you want to see something like that in your lifetime? Because she talked about, I think at one point she said something about, like, it was, I can't remember exactly what she said. Maybe somebody else can remember. Like, I saw this. This was something I saw, and it was amazing. Would you want to see something like that, you three? Whoever wants to go first.
Well, I think that'd be an excellent opportunity to see something historic. Like, and I would be eager to tell somebody about it. Like, that's a once in a lifetime opportunity. That's just my perspective.
Yeah, it definitely is once in a lifetime opportunity. I think you'd want to, experience. I just echo Crooks's sentiments.
And I would want to see it. I'm counting on it. Like, I'm hoping, like, fingers crossed, I get to see something like that.
I know that I think that I would. And I remember one night, like, I'm in the basement, and it was like actually the night before UFO Fest. So I was like a little kid, all excited. And I'm like, all right. In my mind, I'm like, I want to see them. I want there to be great aliens right outside my window. And I'll open that window and I'll see. And then I scared the crap out of myself. I was like, no, never mind. I don't want to see that. Never mind. That's too scary. But do you think that maybe we'd say that we want to, but would you lose your mind possibly? Was that a risk of being like, my reality just got shattered and I can't deal with it?
I'm trying to get myself used to the idea so that if it does happen, hopefully my mind doesn't shatter and I'm just like, okay, this is happening. I'm just trying to get used to it.
Ah, that's a good point. Yeah, we're slowly conditioning ourselves for the close encounter of the third kind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen some mind-bending things. What I thought was mind-bending. I mean, I saw the Seahawks win a Super Bowl, when I survived the 80s as a fan and never thought it would be possible. So, I mean, if you can experience something like that on a real spectrum, anything is possible in the world we live in.
Yeah.
I was hoping I'd get more of a chuckle out of the guy here.
Oh.
We'll try for next time.
When I was glancing at the New Paradigm, their website, it said part of their mission is to prepare humanity for social transformations that are bound to happen when contact with non-human intelligence takes place. So, I mean, that's something that people are going to have to, it's going to be a life-altering experience. I mean, things will not be the same, from that moment forward. So that's, hard for people to prepare for.
Yeah. I feel like we all need to be talking about it more than we are. And so I'm really glad that you guys are in the conversation now too. We need it.
Yeah. Crooks, what do you think it would? No, I agree, Kristen, that like the more we talk about it, it feels like, I mean, 6 years ago I'd be like, if I met this Anthony, I'd be like, what is he looking into? What is he talking about? But Crooks, what sort of institutions would be affected, or I mean, what would happen? Like, I don't know. I mean, some people are making the case that disclosure, we're in the middle of it already. Like, it's already happening. It's slow drip. But let's say it was just like Independence Day, not the violent part of it, not the conquering the world, but let's just say that just every city had a mothership above it, and it was like, this is it, baby. What do you think would be the effects?
Well, I got to admit, the first time that I ever saw the string of Starlink satellites coming across the sky, kind of late in the evening. I thought the invasion was on. I ran over and I was beating on the neighbor's door. And I'm like, you got to get out here. You got to look at this. I really thought it was happening. But it was still light enough. It was a tremendous show to see those coming across the sky. I didn't know that you could see them like that. It was the first time I'd ever seen them. But if that were real, I think there'd just be massive panic. I don't know what would happen. I think it would be chaos. So there may be something to the government not wanting to just let all chaos out there. You know, they want to, maybe it's for everybody's good to keep it under wraps. I think a lot of people would panic.
Yeah, Hal Putoff said, I mean, he's pro disclosure. He said he was part of a very, complex and complicated process on what the effects would be. And he even agreed with the panel or the group that we should not disclose. And he's pro disclosure now. I find that fascinating, that it would affect, religious institutions or maybe economic systems. Everybody else is like, I'd go to work. I'm like, I'm not going to work, man. Even if the president came out and was like, like aliens are real, this reverse engineering thing is real, I'd stay home just to watch the news. I'd be like, no, I'm not coming into work today.
I wonder why the change from no, we shouldn't disclose to being for it. Is it maybe just the times? Like maybe it feels like people are getting more used to the idea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, people feel more comfortable with discussion, I guess. I think of like Joe Rogan, who, has tens of millions of people to watch his podcast, and he outdraws some legacy stations, and legacy programs that are on CNN and Fox News and et cetera, et cetera. I think people are tired of cookie cutter media, and so they're willing to go to other places to be able to hear. And so clearly there's a market for it and an audience for it. So that it makes discussions even that more interesting moving forward.
There is, if you look at, when the subject's brought up, the views and the viewership is way up. Dan Sheehan goes into great detail on how, and he was involved, I think, also with, this might be wrong, but I think he was involved somehow with the church committee and the influence of the intelligence organizations and how they influence media. I'm pretty sure that still happens. I'm not an expert on it, but I'm pretty sure the corporate media is being fed a certain thing to say. But yeah, Pat, that's so fascinating that Rogan, it's not even close as far as I know, the viewership. I mean, he's drawing millions of people.
He is consistently from podcast to podcast. I mean, no matter what the topic, but there is a surge when this topic comes up too. I think, he brings some legitimacy to it, and so that makes it also, it's pretty interesting. That's for sure. I know this is going to be a longer episode than we had initially planned. So you never know what's going to happen with these. That's the fun of it, right? Is you start on one area and then it just keeps going and going. But as we do work towards wrapping up, I heard a rumor that there's baked potatoes and chili waiting for me in the other room. So I may have to disappear here soon.
No, it's a good time, and we were planning to wrap up around 7. So Pat, I'm with you. Any final thoughts, folks?
Well, I just want to thank you again, Kristen. A real pleasure to have our first legitimate guest, on our little show. I mean, we're just kind of figuring it out. We're kind of learning as we go. So appreciate your patience and your, generosity for showing up. Thank you.
Thanks for letting me be the first guest. That's a cool honor.
We appreciate it. We'd love for you to come back again as well.
I would love that.
And
anytime.
It'd be great for Molly to come back as well.
She would love that too.